Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Serena here, and today, instead of art related stuff, we're going to be working on stitch markers, which I imagine anybody who's not familiar with the crafty side of things are, what the heck are those? These happen to be little markers that tell you what stitch you need to be on, like say if you want a pattern or want to know the beginning of a round of something. Which these are useful for knitting. There's a crochet option as well, but you need lobster clasps for those, which lobster clasps, let me grab this. Lobster clasps are these little things, although you can get them in a variety of sizes. This just happens to be the size that I have, in both gold and silver plated. But before you can learn how to make these, you're going to need a couple of different things, which these are a nice option if you want to make your own to use for things, or gift to a fellow crafter, or sell them like I do. So things you're going to need include beads, which I got these off of Amazon a while back. Spacers, which spacers are optional, you don't need them, but I happen to like them because they make things look all pretty and sparkly, or extra sparkly. Which, a couple different colors of spacers I have here. These happen to be the yellow ones. Which, camera, are you gonna focus? Oh, greenish yellow. I forgot the name of the color, but I'll probably put the links in the description down below. There are like 7 different colors, including the one that I really like, which this is called Aurora Borealis, which I really do enjoy the way the light hits them. It's extra sparkly. So, beads, spacers, more beads, because you always need options of beads. And I have a ton, because I make stitch markers a variety of the time. There are head pins, but there's a couple of different options. There are head pins with this little hook thing on the bottom, but that's if you want to have like a little charm on the bottom of it, which you can do, and I like those, and those happen to be pretty. I would show you one if I happened to have one in grass, but unfortunately I do not. Yeah, there's those with the hooks, and then there's one with this little ball, although there are also head pins that are also flat. Look like kind of like a nail, but obviously without the sharp pointy part on the other end. Although I imagine if you poke this enough times, this would probably hurt too. And also there have split jump rings. I was about to call them split rings. You can have jump rings or split rings, which the split rings you'll more recognize, like the stuff that you can have on keychains and that sort of stuff. Like the really large ones that they have for keychains and that sort of thing. And along with those, you're going to need a couple little bit of tools, although you can grab these easily at a craft store. Got these at Michael's in one of those 5-piece sets, like 50% off. So you're going to need round nose plier, long nose plier, and some cutters. Which, although these are actually okay, but if you want like a good quality set, probably would have to go elsewhere. Not that these are horrible, but definitely can do better. So what we're gonna do is choose your head pin. That's the first step. I'm gonna go with one of these that has just a little thing on the bottom, which to show you what it looks like once the beads and stuff are attached onto there. It's gonna look like a nice little finishing thing on the bottom, which not necessary, but definitely has a nice little finishing touch to it. So once you wrap these, then you're gonna choose your beads, which I happen to have a whole bunch of variety, but it depends on you what kind you want in colors and that sort of thing. Me, I'm gonna go for the usual purple, because of course I am. It happens to be my favorite color, which this is a shock to no one. So, nice look. So you get the purple here. And then, I know I said spacers are optional, but I happen to like using them for these. And there happen to be some purple ones that are in here as well. So I'm gonna grab 2 of those. I say 2 and 6 come out. Pour these back in. Sometimes these can get lost, and it's not fun trying to find these on a carpeted floor. I tell you that. And then put the beads on here, along with the spacers, in any order you choose. This happens to be the order that I'm gonna put on these. No, come back. So this is how it looks without the hook on top of it. All purple. And then, so I'm gonna use this little bit of these brown nose pliers and bend this. Make sure the beads don't come off. And make it easier for me when I use the round nose pliers in order to make sure I have the rounded part on this thing properly set. Which I think I'm gonna use one of the jump rings here. Which the jump rings, at least the ones that I have right now, these only work for up to size 7 US knitting needles. And then there's one thing you'll want to know when you're cutting the head pin to use for the stitch marker. You want to have something to put the little extra portion of the ring into in order to make sure you don't cut yourself, because that's not going to be fun to find with your foot if it drops in the carpet or something. And now you can see that it's perfectly long enough in order for you to just wrap it around using the round nose pliers. Which I'm gonna put in the jump ring on the piece of the head pin that I have left before I start twisting that piece of the head pin in order to have it in there, even though I know you can open the jump ring and close it again. I just prefer to do it this way to make sure that the ring itself is perfectly closed. You just twist it, holding the tip portion of it. Twist it around to get into a circular shape. Which you'll want to probably use it closer towards the middle, depending on how short you cut it. Which, the shorter you cut it, obviously the smaller the circle that you're going to get. And now that it's closed, make sure you have it secure and tight so the ring cannot slip out at any point in time, nor any yarn can get caught in there. That would be bad. And there we have a nice sparkly new stitch marker for you to use. Which, to anybody wondering how do you use a stitch marker, I will show you. Using the sock that I'm currently working on, basically what you do is, if you want to mark a certain area where you want to start a certain point in the pattern, like say if you were supposed to like knit 5 stitches here and then purl the next 7 stitches, you knit, and then you slip the stitch marker on there, which I could have just put that on the right needle, but I just wanted to show you that for demonstration purposes, and then keep knitting and or following the instructions for whatever pattern that you're using these stitch markers for, whatever you're using these stitch markers for, and you can see that easily. It's not going to come off. You just have to go all the way around if you're doing a project in the round. You can use this for flat projects as well, both knitting and crochet, but for crochet, as I stated earlier, you would need a stitch marker with a lobster clasp, which lobster clasps are easy to find. You can find them in any craft store, and you can use them for knitting projects too, like stuff that you have on DPNs, which DPNs is short for double pointed needle. Since the round stitch markers will slip off if you want to have the beginning of the round marked off, you can put the lobster claw into the first stitch itself instead of right next to it, like into the loop which you knitted, and you can tell the beginning of the round. Just the only difference is you'll have to move it up every couple of rounds or so just to make sure you don't lose track of where you are. And that, I believe, is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you have a good rest of your evening, and see you soon.